Imagine this. You're sitting at your kitchen table on a random Tuesday night. The dishes are done, the TV is off, and you pull up your 401k balance on your phone. Your stomach drops a little. Not because the number is terrible. It's actually okay. But you do the math in your head. 5 years. That's it. 5 more years until the date you always circled in your mind. The date you're supposed to walk out of that building for the last time. And suddenly you're not thinking about the number on the screen. You're thinking about all the numbers you don't know yet. Will Social Security actually be there? Will the market crash right when you need it not to? Will your health hold up? Will this money actually last 20, maybe 30 years? You close the app. You don't sleep great that night. If that scene feels a little too familiar, you're not alone. And here's what I eventually figured out. Hey, I'm not a suit and tie financial advisor who's going to talk down to you about compound interest like you've never heard the word before. I'm someone who spent years being genuinely confused about this stuff. I didn't know the difference between a Roth and a traditional IRA until embarrassingly late. I once ignored my 401k statement for an entire year because opening it made me anxious. So when I say I figured this out, I don't mean I became a genius overnight. I mean I sat down, talked to people smarter than me, read the research, and slowly built a system that actually makes sense for someone who's staring down retirement in the near future. That's what this video is. Not a lecture. A conversation with a friend who did the homework so you don't have to do it alone. Let me introduce you to 2 people. We'll call them Dave and Linda. Both are 60 years old. Both live in the same mid-sized American city. Both make around $85,000 a year. Both have about $400,000 saved for retirement. On paper, they're basically twins. But here's where it gets interesting. Dave is going to spend the next 5 years coasting. He'll keep doing what he's always done, hope for the best, and figure the rest out later. Linda is going to spend the next 5 years doing 5 very specific things different. By the time they both retire, their lives will look nothing alike. And the difference won't be luck. It'll be decisions. Here's the metaphor I want you to hold on to for this entire video. Think of your retirement like a plane coming in for landing. For years, you've been cruising at altitude. Steady climb, autopilot mostly on, plenty of room for error. But somewhere around the 5-year mark before retirement, you shift into final approach. And final approach is different. You're not climbing anymore. You're managing descent. Small adjustments matter more. A gust of wind that barely mattered at cruising altitude can throw off a landing. That's exactly what the last 5 years before retirement are. Not a time to relax. A time to fly the plane carefully. Dave doesn't know this. He's still on cruise control. Linda gets it. She's already adjusting her approach. So what does flying the plane carefully actually look like? Let's talk about the 5 moves. Move 1. Know your real number. Not a guess. Not I'll probably be fine. An actual number based on what you plan to spend each year in retirement, how long you might live, and what income sources like Social Security will cover. A widely cited guideline from Fidelity suggests aiming to have around 8 times your annual salary saved by age 60. Dave has never calculated his real number. Linda sat down last month and did the math. She now knows, almost to the dollar, what she needs. Move 2. Shift your asset mix as you approach retirement. At 60, having your entire nest egg riding the stock market like it's 1995 is a gamble you can't afford to lose. This doesn't mean abandoning stocks. It means gradually adding more stability, so a market downturn right before or right after you retire doesn't wreck your plan. This is a real risk. Research on sequence of returns. Risk shows that a bad market in your first few retirement years can do more damage than the same bad market 10 years into retirement. Timing matters more than most people realize. Move 3. Maximize catch-up contributions. If you're 50 or older, the IRS lets you contribute extra to your 401k, an IRA beyond the normal limits. Dave has never once used this. Linda maxes hers out every single year for these final 5 years. Move 4. Get brutally honest about healthcare. Medicare doesn't start until 65. If you're retiring before that, you need a real plan to bridge the gap. And even after 65, Medicare doesn't cover everything. Fidelity has estimated that the average retired couple may need well over $300,000 to cover healthcare costs throughout retirement. Let that sink in. Move 5. Build your Social Security strategy. Go on. Wow. You can claim as early as 62 or wait as late as 70, and the difference in your monthly check can be enormous. Linda is running the numbers on when to claim. Dave figures he'll just take it whenever. 5 moves. 1. Coasting. 1. Landing the plane carefully. Let's actually walk through what this looks like in dollars, because vague advice doesn't stick. Numbers do. Year 1. Linda contributes an extra $7,500 in catch-up contributions. Invested with modest growth, adds meaningfully to her balance by year 5. Year 2. She rebalances 10% of her portfolio toward more stable holdings. She loses a little upside, but she gains real protection against a crash. Year 3. Dave's portfolio, still 90% stocks, drops sharply during a market dip. He loses tens of thousands in value. Linda's more balanced portfolio dips far less. Year 4. Linda's healthcare bridge fund, built specifically for the years before Medicare, is fully funded. Dave still has no plan for this gap at all. Year 5. Linda retires with a clear number, a stable mix, a healthcare bridge, and a Social Security claiming strategy. Dave retires with hope. Read that again. Same starting point, same income, same amount saved 5 years earlier. Completely different landings. This is not about being rich. It's about being intentional during the descent. Here's what nobody talks about. Most retirement advice is written for people who are 25 to 35 years old. Start early. Let compound interest do the work. Don't touch it for decades. That advice is great when you have decades. It's almost useless when you have 5 years left. If you're in your late 50s or 60s and you've made mistakes, most of the content out there subtly tells you it's too late, that you should have started sooner, that you missed your window. That's not true. And honestly, it's a little cruel. The 5 years, right before retirement, are not a lost cause. They might actually be the most powerful 5 years you have, because this is when catch-up contributions are highest, when the decisions you make have the most immediate impact, and when even small course corrections change your day. And honestly, it's a little cruel. The 5 years right before retirement are not a lost cause. You don't need 40 years to fix this. You need 5 focused ones. Entire outcome on. But how do you actually survive this phase emotionally? Because let's be honest, the anxiety is real. I think the honest answer is this. The fear doesn't come from not having enough money. It comes from not having a plan. Always being a book. Those feel the same, but they're not. Here are a few things that actually help. First, replace vague worry with a specific number. Once Linda knew her number, her anxiety dropped, even before her balance changed. Clarity calms the nervous system in a way that hoping never does. Second, talk to someone. A fee-only financial planner, even for a single session, can catch blind spots you can't see because you're too close to your own situation. Third, give yourself permission to adjust the plan later. This isn't a one-time decision carved in stone. It's a direction you can steer, year by year, all the way through the landing. Now let me speak to 3 different groups watching this, because your situation might not be 5 years out at all. If you're in your 30s or early 40s, this video isn't really about you yet, but it should be a wake-up call. Action step. Open your 401k app right now and check your contribution percent. Mindset shift. The goal isn't to save perfectly. It's to build the habit early so your future self isn't scrambling like Dave. If you're in your 50s, this is your final approach, and you have more runway than you think. Action step. Calculate your real retirement number this week, using your actual expenses, not a guess. Mindset shift. Catch-up contributions exist because the system knows people need a chance to course correct. Use that chance. If you're in your 60s or late starter, you are not too late. Action step. Get a healthcare bridge plan in place before anything else, since that gap can wreck an otherwise solid plan. Mindset shift. Retirement isn't a single finish line. It's a landing you can still fly carefully, even starting today. Here's the thing about that plane metaphor. Nobody panics during final approach because the flight was perfect. They stay calm because the pilot knows exactly what to adjust and when. You don't need a flawless flight to land safely. You need attention during the years when attention matters most. Dave will probably be fine eventually, but his landing will be bumpier than it needed to be. Linda's landing will be smooth, not because she was lucky, but because she paid attention during her final approach. Wherever you are right now, 5 years out or 15, the plane is still yours to fly. If this gave you a clearer picture of where you actually stand, take 5 minutes this week and calculate your real number. It might be the most important 5 minutes you spend all year. And if you want more breakdowns like this, stick around. There's a lot more runway to cover together.